Greetings, you mysterious eggs. I hope you are doing well. My name is Graham, and welcome to the Crack-A-Pack here on LRRMTG. Please consider following the channel. Today we are looking at a pack of Ikoria, which was given to us, I think, through the mail in October 2020, or at least it's dated October 2020, from Andrew Cameron of Guelph, Ontario, aka Thing One of Two, who notes, this is a good set for Winston draft. And I bet it is, but that's not what I'm doing today. Now I have to somehow extract this magic card. I wonder what card Andrew Cameron of Guelph, Ontario used to label their name on the back of the pack. Windstrider from Ixalan. Okay, why not? All right, let's get into it. Delightful. You'd be forgiven for forgetting exactly when Ikoria came out, because it did release just after everybody went home at the beginning of the Pandini, as I heard someone Scottish refer to it as. It sounded better in a Scotch accent. Anyway, first up we have Of One Mind. 2 and a blue for a sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a human and a non-human. Draw 2 cards. So in this set, you could frequently get this as a 1 mana draw 2, which seems pretty good. The only downside to humans is you couldn't mutate onto them because humans are boring and stupid, and I'm speaking mostly about myself. Next is Dranith Stinger, who's a human. 1 and a red for a 2/2 human wizard. Whenever you cycle another card, Dranith Stinger deals 1 damage to each opponent, and of course has cycling 1 for 1 generic mana, which was a mistake. Not this card specifically, but cycling anything for 1 generic mana ended up being problematic. At least it was on Arena. Like, this is the thing, most people didn't get to draft this set in the meat space, and Arena let you really cobble together a brutal cycling deck, and being able to cycle stuff for 1 generic mana was just... The set was really cool. Otherwise, I quite like the mutate and everything, and even the cycling deck was fun, but then you get stuff like Imposing Vantasaur. 5 and a white for a 3/6 dinosaur with vigilance. It's nice to see dinosaurs back, that's cool. And it has cycling for 1 generic mana. So you'd be running a cycling, you just throw Imposing Vantasaurs in there. I mean, this at least was on color, right? You would have like a red-white cycling deck, and you'd be running the like Boon of the Wishgiver, the 6 mana blue spell. You never intended to cast it. It's there to be a cycling thing. It's the same thing with Vantasaur. Although I did occasionally see this one cast, and that was when you realized that the 3/6 with vigilance is actually kind of annoying in a lot of situations. So fair play. Adventurous Impulse is next. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This was just printed, I think, in the Strixhaven Mystical Archive, and I constantly confuse it with Abundant Harvest, if I'm misremembering correctly. I think I've said before on this very show, I don't like cards like that. I can't explain why. And I don't have to, because this is not a conversation. Please leave comments below. Dark Bargain is next. 3 and a black for an instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 2 of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Dark Bargain deals 2 damage to you. Yeah. It's sometimes you want to play the card like that. It's a fine card. It's okay. We're all right. I'm all right. I'm all right. I hope you're all right. Raking Claws. 1 and a red for an instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn with cycling 2. So, really expensive now. Cycling for 2 generic mana. The reason I liked Raking Claws, specifically in the cycling deck, is that, early you just chuck it and do more cycling things. And then later in the game, if you drew it, you just kill them. You just make some attacks, the same attacks you've been making, and they're like, all right, well, fine, I'll take 3, I guess. And you go, haha, it's actually 6, you die. This is the prime scenario that I've just concocted in my head, but it did happen. I promise you it happened. I don't have video evidence, but it did. Hampering Snare. Remember this? 1 and a blue. For an instant, creatures your opponents control get -2/-0 until end of turn. Cycling 2. I think I'm confusing this one with... I don't even remember the name of it. There was a blue creature enchantment in the set. I think it was an enchantment. This was the confusing part. There's a couple blue spells that were very similar, and I had difficulty keeping them straight in my brain. This card had cycling, therefore it was great. Blood Curdle, easily the best removal spell in the set that wasn't the stupid cycling flare. 3 and a black for an instant, destroy target creature, put a menace counter on a creature you control. Great. It's great. It's loud, presumably, based on the art. Yeah. Curdle. Thwart the enemy. That's how you pronounce that, right? Thwart? Thwart? This is the first one of these I'm recording on this particular day, and I'm already starting to lose a grip on reality. 2 and a green for an instant, prevent all damage that would be dealt this turn by creatures your opponents control. So it's one-sided fog. That's still bad. If there was a quiz about the existence of this card, I would lose. I had no idea this card was in this set. I never saw it. I never drafted it. I never cast it. I never saw it cast. It may as well not exist. Patagia? We never got a firm answer on this. I want to call it the Pataiga Taiga. It's 4 and a white for a 3/4 cat. You may be forgiven for thinking this is some sort of griffin beast. No, it is only a cat, despite its size and wings and number of limbs. Merely a cat, which is why on Arena it goes meow, which doesn't quite jibe with the image. Anyway, it's a 3/4 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, target human you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. I like that Arena has like 2 different cat sound effects for when a cat enters the battlefield, and it's either like meow or but they still both sound like angry house cats. And there's a lot of cats that are of considerable size. Oh, good. Hey, look, we found it. Mystic Subdual. What are the chances? 1 and a blue. Enchantment with flash, enchanted creature gets -2/-0 and loses all abilities. Mutating onto the creature won't give it new abilities. It can gain abilities in other ways. It can gain abilities in other ways. We're not going to tell you how. You'll have to find out. What? That's such an interesting choice of reminder text. Anyway, so yeah, it was Hampering Snare and Mystic Subdual are the 2 that I conflated in my head a lot. This one is enchantment. This one is instant. This one only 1 creature. This one all the creatures. This one, it also loses all abilities. This one has cycling. Which means that the cycling one was actually often a lot more useful. But I mean, if you put this onto a mutate stack, they lose a bunch of stuff. And it has flash, so you could even intervene. If they cast a mutate creature onto a pile, onto like a big mutate stack, and then you flash this in onto it, then they would lose all the existing abilities, and then the new thing would clamp on, and then they would lose its abilities too. Why wasn't this better? Why didn't this card get played more? Maybe I just didn't see it enough because it was an uncommon. And yet, Footfall Crater, I saw plenty. Why? Because it has cycling 1. It's a single red mana for a land enchantment, and the enchanted land has tap and target creature gains trample and haste until end of turn, and I saw that happen to me literally once. Generally, this was a card that cycled for 1 generic mana, and we were all happy to see it. Oh, finally, we hit something awesome with Mutate, and this card was backbreaking. Archipelagore. Brief aside, terrific name. So good. I've recently gained a new appreciation for card names and flavor text, and this thing, just spectacular. 5 blue for a 7/7 Leviathan, with Mutate for 5 and blue. And so mutate, I'm not going to get into it because it was honestly a little confusing. Played great on Arena, but like you stick a creature onto another creature and you can put it on top or on the bottom, and they all have all the abilities. The only thing that really matters on the top is like the power and toughness, mostly. This is a 7/7, so you generally put this on top. And whenever this creature mutates, tap up to X target creatures, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated, which would already be very good. But those creatures don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So this was, I mean, it was backbreaking. It's a giant Leviathan. It kills you. Shocking no one. All right, we are on to our rare, which is Mythos of Nethroi. These were weird, and this one was particularly strangely worded, if I remember correctly. 2 and a black for an instant. That reads, destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature or if green-white was spent to cast this spell. So that's just like how, I'm sure to a rules manager that's very clean. But the templating here is, it's the most concise way of doing it, but to explain. Either you cast this for 2 and a black and you destroy a creature, or you cast it for black, green, white, and you destroy any non-land permanent. So it's destroy target non-land permanent if it's a creature, or you spent this mana. I appreciate the, not clarity, the opposite of what I'm looking for. I appreciate how streamlined that wording is, but I had to read this card upwards of 14 times before I figured out what the heck was going on. It's fine. And we have a Jungle Hollow and a companion token. I don't think I've opened that many packs of Ikoria, but I've never seen this before. It's like a place to put your companion. I literally didn't even know this existed. As each game begins, you can place 1 card with companion here if your starting deck meets its condition. You may cast it once from here. Well, that's wrong now also. Wow. Hands up, everyone who knew this existed. Not so fast, because I know you're probably lying. To me, this is the most interesting thing in this whole pack, because I never knew about this before. All right, cool. In a draft, I would be well, okay, so it depends on the venue. If it's on Arena with the original quick draft bots, I would probably just take Dranith Stinger and force cycling, because that's what one did in those days. As was the style at the time. But actually, I would take Archipelagor here and just try to do mutate shenanigans. Blood Curdle actually is another high pick possibility, but neither of those cards are the most valuable cards in the pack because the pack is not particularly valuable. All told, it's worth about, approximately $2, and 25 cents of that is this companion token. So, good job. We didn't include Windstrider in the calculus there because that just seems unfair. But anyway, thank you very much, Andrew Cameron of Guelph, Ontario, for this pack of Ikoria. Much appreciated. That's going to do it for the Crack-A-Pack. If you feel a pressing desire to send us a pack to crack, you can do so at our P.O. Box, Attention Crack-A-Pack. I said care of a bunch, and that's not technically the terminology, so Attention Crack-A-Pack. And of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Thanks to James for some help. Shoutouts to Matt or Corey for the edit, and we will talk to you next time on the Crack-A-Pack.